The ship's warning alarm woke Captain Ji-ho from his sleep. He rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the flashing red light on his control panel. Another distress call. Ji-ho sighed and thought about ignoring it, like he had done many times before. "Computer, what's the message?" he asked, his voice rough from sleep. "Emergency distress signal from research station HFY 7. The computer answered in its flat voice. "They are requesting immediate medical supplies and possible evacuation." Ji-ho frowned. HFY 7 was at the edge of safe space, dangerously close to the Forbidden Zone. The Galactic Alliance had strict rules about that area. No ships should go there, it was too risky. "Show me the payment offer," Ji-ho said. When the number appeared on the screen, his eyes widened. That was a lot of money. Enough to fix his ship's aging engine and still have plenty left over. Maybe enough to take a break from hauling cargo for a few months. Ji-ho had been flying his ship, the Morning Star, for 7 years now. Ever since he left the military, this small cargo ship had been his only home. Earth was just a memory to him now, too crowded, too busy, too full of rules. Out here in the outer territories, he could be free. But freedom came with a price. Constant work, dangerous routes, and barely enough money to keep his ship running. "Computer, change course for HFY 7, Ji-ho ordered after thinking it over. "And prepare the medical storage bay. We might need to take on injured people." The Morning Star turned smoothly and accelerated toward its new destination. Ji-ho went to the tiny kitchen area and made a cup of hot black coffee. He couldn't shake the feeling that something about this call wasn't right. HFY 7 was supposed to be a simple research station, scientists studying rocks and plants. What kind of emergency would happen there? 3 days later, the Morning Star approached HFY 7. The planet looked peaceful from space, mostly covered in oceans with a few large continents. It had thick forests and tall mountains. Beautiful, but nothing special. Research Station HFY 7. "This is Captain Ji-ho of cargo ship Morning Star. I'm responding to your distress call," Ji-ho said into the communication system. Static filled the speakers for a long moment. Ji-ho was about to try again when a woman's voice broke through. "This is Dr. Han Sumi, head researcher at HFY 7. Thank the stars you've come. We need those medical supplies immediately. Our landing pad is damaged, but you can use the emergency field to the east of our main building." Something in her voice made Ji-ho even more uneasy. Fear. Real fear. "What happened down there, Dr. Han? Your message didn't give details." Another pause. "We'll explain everything when you land, Captain. Please hurry." Ji-ho didn't like it, but he had come too far to turn back now. He guided his ship carefully down through the atmosphere and spotted the research station, a cluster of white buildings nestled between a forest and a mountain range. True to Dr. Han's words, the main landing pad was destroyed. It looked like something had smashed it to pieces. The emergency field was little more than a flat area of dirt, but it was enough for the Morning Star to land safely. Ji-ho grabbed his emergency pack and his blaster. He hadn't carried a weapon regularly since leaving the military, but something told him he might need it today. When the ship's door opened, Ji-ho was met by a small group of people. They looked exhausted and scared. A thin woman with short black hair stepped forward. "Captain Tae? I'm Dr. Han Sumi. Thank you for coming so quickly." Ji-ho nodded. "I brought the medical supplies you requested. Now, will someone tell me what's going on here?" Dr. Han glanced nervously at the mountains behind the station. "Let's talk inside. It's not safe out here in the open." The inside of the research station was in chaos. Equipment lay broken on the floors. Some walls had huge cracks in them. About 20 researchers moved around quickly, packing things or treating injuries. "You're leaving?" Ji-ho asked, noticing the packed bags. "We're trying to," said a tall man with a security uniform and a bandaged arm. "I'm Park Sun-hee, security chief. What's left of security, anyway?" Ji-ho looked at their faces. "What happened? Here?" Dr. Han led him to a small office and closed the door. She turned on a screen that showed a map of the area. "We came to study the crystal formations in these caves," she explained, pointing to the mountains. "The Alliance said they might have special properties useful for new technology. But that's not what we really found. She changed the screen to show a video. It showed a huge underground chamber. In the center was what looked like a massive crystal cocoon, glowing with blue light. 3 weeks ago we found this, Dr. Han said. We thought it was some kind of ancient alien artifact. My team began studying it. Then 5 days ago this happened. The video showed researchers working near the crystal structure. Suddenly the glow increased and the crystal began to crack. The researchers backed away, but it was too late. The crystal shattered and something emerged, something enormous and terrifying. Ji-ho leaned closer to the screen, not believing his eyes. Is that a dragon? The creature in the video was like nothing Ji-ho had ever seen. It had a long, serpentine body covered in crystalline scales that caught and reflected the light. Its wings spread wide, filling the huge chamber. Its head was massive, with glowing eyes and teeth like sharpened crystals. We call it Yun Ryong, Dr. Han said quietly. According to old legends, it's a stellar dragon. They were thought to be myths, stories people told children. But they were real. The video showed the dragon roaring, the force of its cry knocking people down. Then it attacked, moving with impossible speed for something so large. The video cut to static. It destroyed our communication array. Dr. Han continued. Killed 7 of my team before we escaped the caves. We've been using emergency power since then. It comes out at night, attacks the station, then returns to the caves during daylight. Ji-ho sat back, trying to process what he'd seen. Why don't you just leave? It destroyed our ships, said Park Sun-hee, who had entered the room quietly. Yours is the only working spacecraft on this planet now. Ji-ho felt a cold weight in his stomach. And you expect me to take all of you off-world? Dr. Han shook her head. My ship can't hold 20 people, and they knew that when they sent the war. Distress call. There's more, Dr. Han said. She nodded to another researcher who had joined them, a younger man with glasses. This is Kim Do-yun, our linguistics expert. Tell him what you found, Do-yun. The young man looked nervous. I've been translating the ancient writing we found in the caves. The stellar dragons weren't just animals. They were powerful beings that once ruled the galaxy. This one, Yun Ryong, is trying to summon others of its kind. If it succeeds, Dr. Han finished, it could mean the end of human control in this sector. Maybe the entire galaxy. Ji-ho stood up quickly. This is a problem for the Alliance military, not a cargo pilot. I'll take your distress call to the nearest Alliance base. There's no time, Dr. Han interrupted. Alliance ships would take weeks to get here. By then, it will be too late. We need your help now, Captain. I'm not a soldier anymore, Ji-ho protested. What can I possibly do against that thing? Dr. Han looked him straight in the eyes. The ancient texts mention that humans once worked with the dragons long ago. Maybe that's why you're here now. Maybe it's not just chance. Ji-ho thought about his ship sitting outside. He could leave right now, take off and never look back, but if what they said was true, nowhere would be safe for long. I'll help, he said finally. But I want to know everything you know about this dragon. No more secrets. Outside, as night began to fall, a distant roar echoed from the mountains. Yun Ryong was waking up, and Ji-ho had just agreed to face the fiercest dragon in the galaxy. The morning after Ji-ho agreed to help, Dr. Han called a meeting in the station's main lab. The room was crowded with nervous researchers. Some looked at Ji-ho with hope, others with doubt. He couldn't blame them. What could one cargo pilot do against a dragon? This is my core team, Dr. Han said, pointing to 3 people at the front of the room. You've met Park Sun-hee, our security chief. The tall security officer nodded stiffly. Her arm was still bandaged, and fresh cuts marked her face. She looked at Ji-ho with clear distrust. This is Lee Min-ho, our xenobiologist, Dr. Han continued. A quiet man with round glasses bowed slightly. Unlike the others, he didn't look afraid. Instead, his eyes shone with excitement. And this is Choi Jun-seo, our tech expert. A young man, barely out of his 20s, waved. Despite the situation, he had an eager smile. Your ship is amazing, Captain. I've never seen a Class B cargo hauler modified like that. Let's focus, Dr. Han said. We have limited time before the Alliance responds to our emergency beacon, and even less time before Unryong completes whatever it's trying to do in the caves. Ji-ho frowned. You said it was trying to summon other dragons. How do you know that? Dr. Han nodded to Kim Do-yeon, who pulled up images of strange symbols on the main screen. These writings were found throughout the cave system, Do-yeon explained. They tell about the stellar dragons, how they once ruled the galaxy and then suddenly disappeared thousands of years ago. According to the text, they had the ability to travel between dimensions. So this dragon, Unryong, is trying to bring others back from another dimension? Ji-ho asked, finding it hard to believe. That's our theory, Dr. Han said. And we need to stop it. How do we fight it? Ji-ho asked. I saw the video. Normal weapons don't seem to hurt it. They don't, Park Sun-hee confirmed bitterly. Its scales absorb energy weapons, bullets just bounce off. We lost 3 security officers learning that lesson. Lee Min-ho spoke up for the first time. His voice was soft but intense. We shouldn't try to kill it. Unryong is possibly the last of its kind, a living connection to the ancient past. The scientific value is beyond measure. Scientific value won't matter if it kills us all, Sun-hee snapped. Ji-ho raised his hand to stop the argument. Before we decide what to do, I need to understand what we're facing. Show me everything you have on this dragon. All the videos, all the data. For the next few hours, Ji-ho studied the footage of Unryong's attacks. Something didn't make sense. The dragon was clearly powerful enough to destroy the entire station if it wanted to. Instead, its attacks seemed focused on specific areas. It's looking for something, Ji-ho said finally. The others looked at him with confusion. Watch this, Ji-ho said, pointing to a section of video. It could have smashed through this wall easily, but instead, it carefully examined these storage units, and here it destroyed the communication array but left the power generators untouched. Dr. Han frowned. You think it's being selective? I think it's being smart, Ji-ho replied. This isn't just an angry animal. It has a plan. Choi Jun-seo had been working at a computer terminal while they talked. Suddenly he called out, I found something. Everyone gathered around his screen. Jun-seo played an audio recording of the dragon's roar, but he had changed it somehow. I filtered out the higher frequencies, he explained. Listen to what's underneath. The strange low sounds that remained had a clear pattern, almost like speech. It's talking, Jun-seo said excitedly. The roar isn't just noise. It contains subsonic frequencies that match mathematical sequences in the ancient texts. So the dragon is intelligent, Ji-ho said. It's trying to communicate. Or call for help, Dr. Han added worriedly. Park Sun-hee had been watching Lee Min-ho with growing suspicion. You've been spending a lot of time alone in the lab, Min-ho. What are you really working on? Min-ho looked uncomfortable. Just research. Show us, Sun-hee demanded. After some hesitation, Min-ho led them to his private lab. Inside, screens displayed strange energy readings and complex calculations. I've been tracking quantum fluctuations around the cave system, Min-ho admitted. They started 3 months ago, long before we found Unryong's chamber. What are you saying? Doctor, Han asked. I'm saying the dragon was already waking up before we arrived, Min-ho explained. Something else started this process. We just happened to be here when it finished. Ji-ho stared at the data. So someone or something deliberately woke the dragon? It seems that way, Min-ho agreed. The station lights suddenly flickered, and a distant roar shook the building. Night was falling, and Unryong was on the move again. Everyone to the secure room, Dr. Han ordered. Sun-hee, get the remaining weapons ready. As they hurried through the corridors, Ji-ho pulled Min-ho aside. You know more than you're telling us. Min-ho hesitated, then whispered. Not all the ancient texts portray the dragons as enemies. Some suggest humans and dragons once worked together peacefully. What if we're misunderstanding the situation? Before Ji-ho could respond, the building shook violently. The attack had begun earlier than expected. A section of ceiling collapsed. Nearby, forcing them to take a different route. They joined the others in the secure room, a reinforced chamber at the center of the station. Through the security cameras, they watched as Yun Ryong circled the building. Its crystalline scales glowed in the darkness, shifting colors like a living rainbow. "It's beautiful," Jiho found himself saying. "Beauty can still kill you." "Son," he replied grimly. Jiho watched the dragon's movements carefully. It's following the same pattern as before. First the east wing, then the labs, then the storage areas. It's methodical. And getting faster each night, Junseo added. It's like it's getting more frustrated at not finding whatever it's looking for. An idea began to form in Jiho's mind. What if we could talk to it? The others looked at him like he was crazy. "Junseo, you said the roar contains mathematical patterns. Could we use the station's speaker system to create similar sounds? Try to communicate?" Junseo thought for a moment. Maybe. The atmospheric modulation system could generate the right frequencies, but what would we say? "We'd say we want to help," Jiho replied. "If Minho is right, and dragons and humans once worked together, maybe we can do it again." Sunhee shook her head. "That's insane. It's killing us." "Because it thinks we're enemies," Jiho argued. "What if we could change that?" As they debated, the dragon suddenly appeared at the window of the secure room. Its massive eye, glowing like a blue star, stared directly at them. Everyone froze. For a long moment, the dragon simply watched them, then it pressed its head against the reinforced glass. The window began to crack under the pressure. "It found us," Dr. Han whispered. But Jiho wasn't afraid anymore. Looking into that ancient eye, he felt something unexpected. A connection. The dragon wasn't just looking at them, it was studying them, trying to understand them just as they were trying to understand it. "We need to try communicating," Jiho said firmly. "Now, before it's too late." As the window continued to crack, Jiho made a decision that would change everything. He stepped forward, placing his hand against the glass, directly in front of the dragon's eye. Yun Ryong went still. Its eye narrowed, focusing entirely on Jiho. Then, to everyone's shock, it backed away from the window. It recognized a friendly gesture, Minho whispered in awe. "Or it's just planning its next move," Sunhee countered. But Jiho knew something had changed. The dragon hadn't retreated in fear or anger. It had made a choice, to wait, to watch, to learn more about these strange humans who weren't running away anymore. "We have a chance," Jiho said. "Let's not waste it." Morning came, and Yun Ryong retreated to the caves as usual. The research team gathered in what remained of the main lab. They had survived another night, but the station was badly damaged. Power systems were failing, and air filters were working at half capacity. "The Alliance finally responded to our emergency signal," Dr. Han announced. Her face showed no relief. "They can't get here for at least 2 weeks. Their ships are busy with border conflicts." "We won't last 2 weeks, Park," Sunhee said bluntly. "Our food supplies are low. Power is failing, and the dragon gets stronger every day." Jiho nodded. "It's been feeding on the geothermal vents in the caves. I saw it on the thermal scans. It absorbs energy directly." "So what do we do now?" Junseo asked, looking to Jiho. The young technician had begun to see the cargo pilot as their leader. Jiho took a deep breath. "We try my plan. We attempt to communicate with Yun Ryong." "With all due respect, Captain, that's crazy," Sunhee argued. "That thing has killed 9 people already." "Because we've been treating it like an enemy," Jiho replied. "Junseo, could you modify the station's atmospheric system like we discussed? Create those subsonic frequencies?" Junseo nodded eagerly. "I've been working on it all morning. We can use the main antenna array to broadcast the signals. But what message should we send?" Lee Minho spoke up. "I've been studying the patterns in the dragon's communications. They seem to include repeating sequences that might be greetings or identification codes. Use those," Jiho decided. "Send a simple message. Tell it we want to talk, not fight." The team worked through the day to prepare the system. Junseo modified the antenna array while Minho programmed the message sequences. Jiho helped where he could. but mostly he studied the dragon's behavior from previous recordings, looking for anything they had missed. As sunset approached, they were ready. The team gathered in the control room. Broadcasting will start in 1 minute, Junseo announced. His fingers moved quickly over the control panel. The message will repeat every 30 seconds. Everyone stay alert, Jiho warned. We don't know how Yoon Ryong will react. The system hummed to life. Though humans couldn't hear the subsonic frequencies, they could feel them, a strange vibration that made their teeth ache and their bones hum. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then sensors detected movement from the caves. Yoon Ryong was coming, and it was moving fast. It's heading straight for us, Sun-hee reported, watching the scanner. Faster than we've ever seen it move. Keep broadcasting, Jiho ordered, though his heart was racing. Had they made a terrible mistake? The building shook as something massive landed on the roof. Metal groaned under the weight. Then came a roar so powerful it shattered the remaining windows. This wasn't the methodical dragon they had seen before. This was rage. Shut it down, Dr. Han shouted. The message is making it angry. Junseo frantically worked the controls. System's not responding. I can't stop the broadcast. The ceiling above them began to bend downward as the dragon pressed its weight against it. Any second it would break through. Everyone out. Get to the emergency bunker, Jiho yelled. They ran through the corridors as the building collapsed around them. A support beam crashed down, striking Dr. Han. She fell with a cry of pain. Jiho rushed back and tried to lift the beam. It was too heavy. Sun-hee, help me! Together, they managed to move the beam enough to pull Dr. Han free. Her leg was badly injured. As Jiho carried her toward safety, she grabbed his shirt. I need to tell you something, she said, her voice tight with pain. About our mission here. Save it for later, Jiho replied, focusing on getting her to safety. No, you need to know. Dr. Han's face was pale. We weren't sent here to study minerals. The Alliance detected strange energy readings from this planet. They suspected advanced technology. We were sent to find it and claim it before anyone else could. Jiho stopped, staring at her. You lied about your mission? We had no idea we would find a dragon, she continued. But what we found in the caves is even more important. It's some kind of control chamber, ancient technology beyond anything we've seen. The texts suggest the dragons used it to control stars, to regulate their energy output, prevent solar flares, maybe even stop stars from dying. Before Jiho could respond, another section of ceiling collapsed nearby. They had to keep moving. They reached the emergency bunker where the others had gathered. The thick walls muffled the sounds of destruction outside, but everyone knew the dragon would find them eventually. Your communication attempt failed, Sun-hee said to Jiho. Now what's your plan? Jiho was still processing what Dr. Han had told him. We approached this all wrong. We treated Yoon Ryong like a threat, but what if it's actually a guardian? What if it was protecting that control chamber you found? Guardian or not, it's going to kill us all, Sun-hee replied. Junseo, who had been working on a portable computer, suddenly looked up. I've been analyzing the dragon scales from the samples we collected. They have a crystal structure that resonates at specific frequencies. What does that mean? Jiho asked. It means they can be affected by sound, but very specific frequencies, not the ones we were broadcasting. We got the message wrong. Minho's eyes widened with understanding. The control chamber, what if the dragon is trying to restart the ancient system? What if it needs that chamber to function properly? Jiho thought quickly. The pieces were starting to fit together. The dragon wasn't trying to summon others to attack us. It was trying to restart the control system. And our presence, our tampering with the chamber, is preventing it from doing its job. So what do we do? Dr. Han asked, wincing as Junseo bandaged her leg. We help it, Jiho said simply. Junseo, could we modify my ship's engines to generate the right frequency? Something that would mimic the control system's signature? Junseo thought for a moment. Maybe. The engines create a specific resonance field when they're powered up. If we could tune that field to match the frequency of the control chamber. That's insane, Sun-hee interrupted. You want to help the creature that's trying to kill us? It's not trying to kill us specifically, Jiho argued. We're just in its way. It has a mission, a purpose, something important enough that it stayed in hibernation for thousands of years until it was needed. He's right, Minho said quietly. Then, more hesitantly, he added, There's something else you should know. I've been connecting with it. Everyone stared at him. What do you mean, connecting? Dr. Han asked. I've spent more time near it than anyone else, studying it. Each time I felt something, like a presence in my mind. At first I thought, I was imagining it, but it's gotten stronger. I don't get clear thoughts, just feelings, impressions, and what I feel isn't hate or anger. It's desperation. The bunker shook as something heavy struck it from outside. The dragon had found them. Jiho made a decision. We're going with my plan. Junseo, gather whatever equipment you need to modify my ship's engines. Minho, you're coming too. We need your connection to the dragon. Sunhee, you and the others keep Dr. Han safe and be ready to evacuate once we get my ship prepared. And what exactly is your plan? Sunhee demanded. We're going to help Yunryong complete its mission, Jiho said. Whatever that mission is, it's our only chance. Another powerful blow hit the bunker, and cracks appeared in the ceiling. They were out of time. Let's go, Jiho said. We have a dragon to help. Jiho, Minho, and Junseo ran toward the landing field where the Morning Star waited. They had to dodge fallen debris and jump over cracks in the ground. Behind them, they could hear Yunryong's powerful roars as it tore apart what remained of the research station. Will your ship still fly? Junseo asked as they reached the field. She'll fly, Jiho assured him. The question is, can we modify her engines in time? They rushed inside the cargo ship. Jiho quickly checked the systems. Everything still worked. Junseo immediately headed for the engine room, carrying the equipment he had grabbed from the lab. What do you need from me? Jiho asked, following him. Help me open the engine shield, Junseo said. We need to reach the resonance coils. As they worked on the engines, Minho sat quietly in a corner, his eyes closed. He was trying to connect with the dragon. Anything? Jiho asked him. Minho opened his eyes. It's confused, angry. It knows something is very wrong, but it doesn't understand what we're trying to do. Can you tell it we're trying to help? Minho shook his head. The connection isn't that clear. I just get feelings, impressions, but... He paused. I think it knows something about you, Jiho. It recognizes you from when you touched the glass. It sees you as different from the others. That gave Jiho an idea. Keep working on the engines, he told Junseo. I need to get something from the station. Are you crazy? Junseo exclaimed. The dragon is tearing it apart. That's exactly why I need to go now, Jiho replied. Minho, try to tell Yunryong I'm coming. I'm not a threat. Before they could stop him, Jiho left the ship and ran back toward the ruined station. He could see Yunryong circling overhead, its crystalline body catching the setting sun's light. It was beautiful and terrifying. Jiho made it to what remained of the main lab. He found what he was looking for, the transmitter Junseo had built to communicate with the dragon. It was damaged but might still work. As he grabbed it, he heard a crash behind him. Yunryong had landed just outside the broken wall. Its massive head pushed through the opening, those ancient eyes focusing directly on Jiho. Jiho stood perfectly still. He held up the transmitter slowly. I want to help you, he said, knowing the dragon couldn't understand his words but hoping it might sense his intention. The dragon made a low rumbling sound. It didn't attack. Instead, it seemed to be studying him. Carefully, Jiho activated the transmitter. It produced the same subsonic frequencies as before, but this time, Jiho adjusted the controls, trying different patterns. He remembered what Minho had said about the resonance frequencies of the dragon's scales. When he hit a certain combination, Yunryong's scales rippled with light. The dragon's posture changed. It seemed less aggressive. That's it, Jiho whispered. He adjusted the frequency again, making it stronger. The dragon backed away slightly. then made a sound unlike any it had made before, almost like speech, but too deep and strange for human ears to comprehend fully. Taking a huge risk, Jiho stepped forward, out of the ruined building. He stood directly before the dragon, holding up the transmitter. "Take me to the control chamber," he said clearly. "Show me what you need." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, incredibly, the dragon lowered its massive body to the ground. An invitation. Jiho's heart pounded. Was he reading this correctly? There was only one way to find out. He climbed onto the dragon's back, clutching the transmitter tightly. As soon as he was secure, Yun Ryong launched into the air. The sensation was unlike anything Jiho had ever experienced, faster than any ship, more powerful than any engine. The dragon flew directly to the mountain caves. Meanwhile, back at the ship, Jun Seo had finished the engine modifications. When Park Sun-hee arrived with the remaining researchers, she was furious to learn what Jiho had done. "He's going to get himself killed," she shouted. Min-ho shook his head. "No. Something's happening. I can feel it. The dragon. It's calmer, now." Inside the mountain, Unryong carried Jiho deep into the cave system. They finally reached a massive chamber, larger than Jiho had imagined from the videos. In the center was a spherical room filled with glowing crystal structures. The dragon set Jiho down carefully at the entrance to this sphere. Inside, Jiho could see what looked like a control panel made of crystal. But more disturbing was what floated above it, a swirling distortion in the air like a tiny storm cloud that bent light around it. Jiho understood immediately. This wasn't just a control system, it was a seal, a barrier between dimensions, and it was failing. The dragon made that strange speaking sound again. Through the transmitter, Jiho caught patterns that seemed to carry meaning. Combining this with what Min-ho had told them and what Dr. Han had discovered, Jiho began to piece together the truth. The stellar dragons hadn't disappeared by choice. They had sacrificed themselves to create and maintain barriers against something worse. Entities from another dimension that threatened all life in this galaxy. Hyun Ryong was the last guardian, awakened because the seal was weakening. The dragon nudged Jiho forward toward the control panel. It wanted him to do something, but what? Jiho studied the crystal controls. They were unlike any technology he had seen before. He placed the transmitter on what seemed to be the main console, and to his surprise it connected instantly, the crystal structures lighting up in response. The distortion above them pulsed, growing slightly larger. They were running out of time. Yun Ryong placed its massive head next to Jiho and made a soft sound. Then, something extraordinary happened. Jiho felt a presence in his mind, not like Min-ho's vague impressions, but clear, directed thought. Images flowed into Jiho's consciousness. The history of the dragons, their ancient war against the dimensional invaders, the creation of the seals, and the long vigilance that followed. Most importantly, he saw what needed to be done. The system needed human hands to work the controls, but it also needed the dragon's energy to power it. Together, they could restore the seal. Jiho placed his hands on the crystal panel as the dragon had shown him. Yun Ryong positioned itself over the distortion, its body beginning to glow with gathered energy. "Now!" Jiho called out, activating the sequence. Light erupted from the dragon's body, channeling down into the distortion. The crystal controls under Jiho's hands grew hot, but he didn't let go. The entire chamber shook with power. Outside, the research team watched in awe as the mountain glowed from within. Inside the ship, Min-ho gasped as his connection with the dragon suddenly intensified. He could see what Jiho was seeing, feel what was happening. "He's doing it," Min-ho whispered. "They're fixing the seal together." In the control chamber, Jiho maintained his position even as the energy threatened to overwhelm him. The distortion began to shrink, the dimensional breach closing. In a final surge of power, Yun Ryong released all its gathered energy into the seal. The light was blinding. Jiho felt something pass from the dragon to him. Knowledge, memory, purpose. Then darkness. 2 weeks later, Alliance ships finally arrived at HFY 7. They found the research station in ruins, but the survivors alive. And they found something else. A human cargo pilot who had somehow communicated with a creature thought to be only legend. And together they had prevented a disaster no one else had even known was coming. Jiho stood at the entrance to the caves, looking at the newly installed monitoring equipment. The Alliance had been skeptical of his story until they saw the ancient chamber and the now stable seal. "Will it come back?" Dr. Han asked, standing beside him. Her leg was healing well. "I don't think so," Jiho replied. "Yunryong gave its energy to fix the seal, but it also gave me something else, knowledge of where the other seals are and how to maintain them. So what happens now?" Jiho looked up at the sky. "Now I have a new job. The Alliance needs someone who understands this technology, someone who can help protect these seals." "You won the dragon's trust," Dr. Han said with wonder. "How?" Jiho smiled. "By seeing it not as a monster to be feared, but as a being with a purpose. By understanding instead of fighting. That's the real human advantage. Not our weapons or technology, but our ability to connect, to empathize, to find peaceful solutions where others see only threats." As they walked back to the new Alliance base, Jiho felt the weight of knowledge Yunryong had shared with him. The dragon was gone, but its mission continued through him. And somewhere, in the space between dimensions, he sensed that Yunryong knew its long vigil had not been in vain. The last stellar dragon had found something it never expected, a human worthy of its trust. Together they had saved not just one world but many, and that was a victory greater than any battle could have been.